isolation versus solitude. Like isolation would be I'm avoiding humans versus solitude is I need to recharge my battery.
Usually the isolation part means that I need to do something to help myself. Isolation drains me, even though I'm choosing it. And then the other piece fills me up.
Well, hi, Kristen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining me today. And yeah, just really love to talk about like what is yoga? What does it mean to you? And just sort of see where that goes today. But yeah, I'd love to first learn about like where'd you grow up and like what were your hobbies as a kid?
Where did I come from? I grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut, and I was pretty active, did lots of sports. I swam competitively and skied and played tennis, and active family. We were out on the water a lot, right on Long Island Sound. And yeah, I was a pretty social kid and always a kind of a deep feeler, a sensitive one for sure, but really outgoing, much more than I am now. But yeah, grew up on the East Coast and went to school in the Midwest at Indiana University, and then kind of kept coming west and landed in Colorado for about 12 years after school, and then here in Southern California about 10 years ago.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And like when was the first time like ever maybe hearing about yoga, or like did you hear about that when you were a kid or when you moved out here, or yeah, when was
I didn't know anything about it as a kid. Maybe in high school, I was thinking about that before this. When was the first time I ever heard of yoga? And I don't actually know. But in college, it was something that I, kind of heard off in this, maybe I'd read something kind of obscure about it back then, 20 years ago. There weren't yoga studios on every corner.
Yeah.
And there were very few where I was in the Midwest, even on a college campus. And so I'd heard that yoga helps relieve stress. And I was like, great, sign me up. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I found out that my university was offering like 1 credit yoga classes. And I showed up to this yoga class, and it was in a gymnastics tumbling room. And so the floor and the walls actually were like the blue mats.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even have a yoga mat. I didn't know what I was doing really at all. And that was my first yoga experience. And even thinking back on it, it's so interesting, like what your mind keeps. I don't remember the instructor at all. I really don't remember the class all that much, but something stayed. And when I moved and so that was when I was 20. And then when I moved to Colorado after I graduated, there was a little studio, like 8 mats max, 8 to 12, something like that, called Yoga for the Peaceful. And that's where I really dove into yoga, as a physical practice, as a spiritual practice. And I was really lucky to have an amazing teacher and guide through my time there. And that's where it all began, I guess.
Right on.
Yeah.
So yoga for the peaceful, sort
Yoga
of like
for the
what?
peaceful.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
class at school, and then sort of opened up the doorway, and then
Yeah. And Yoga for the Peaceful, my teacher there was Monica Mesa, and it was her little studio, and she was and still is deep in a beautiful spiritual practice, and so she really brought a lot of heart and soul and spirituality to the practice, and that's where it really stuck, and that's where it really started to resonate, and where I was able to really build a practice of my own.
Yeah. And so what resonated with you about your teacher and her spiritual practice? What like struck that chord or something you related to? What was it?
That's a really good question. She just really embodied everything that she believed. She was disciplined, and she spoke from the heart. It was really a love-centered studio and practice, and brought lots of components of bhakti in. And the way that I felt, I think, more than anything, that kept me coming back and that has kept me coming back all these years to yoga is how I felt in my body, and how it started to resonate through a more holistic wellness approach, and just the depths of the lineage and the lessons and the teachings.
Yeah. I like how you said it was like a love-centered studio in Bhakti. Like,
Yeah.
and so like for people who don't know that word, what is Bhakti, or what is like love-centered yoga? What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
So Bhakti is one of the paths of yoga, one of the types of yoga. There are lots of different kind of modalities, is probably a good way to describe it, that have come from the ancient teachings and Vedas from India. And Bhakti is one of those modalities, and it's the path of the heart and the path of service and the path of devotion. And with that too, there's an element of chanting and kirtan and song that is really believed to bring us closer to the divine, to God, to spirit, to oneness.
So that like, was there chanting and kirtan then at the studio? Yeah.
There was. Yeah. I mean, I want to say I grew up practicing, but I guess in my yoga formative years, I grew up practicing to Ram Dass and Krishna Das were always on the playlists, and so those are kind of like some of the grandfathers of spirituality, and Krishna Das being one of kind of like the grandfathers of modern day kirtan, if you will, and chanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really special studio, and still is. It's kind of gone through different iterations since then, but it in a little mountain town and just really connected to nature too. And I think that was part of just the community that we were in, really resonated with the cycles and the seasons and being kind of one with all of those natural rhythms. It was a really special place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine being close to nature. And then do you guys ever do chanting out there in the woods or something?
Oh yeah.
Super
Sunrise
cool.
hikes up to the plunge was this really cool lookout over our mountain crested butte, and we'd go up there, we'd walk in silent meditation and chant at the plunge.
Heck yeah.
Really cool. Yeah.
What was that experience like? I mean, you grew up being an athlete and doing sports, to
Yeah.
then maybe doing a group chanting, like doing something together, sort of like
Yeah.
as a community, as a team, but doing this maybe spiritual thing, or not knowing what
Yeah.
it is, but being open to it, and then coming together with other people and
Yeah.
chanting together. What was that like?
I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you can let your guard down. If you had asked me when I was, 16, if I'd be chanting on top of a mountain with a group of people at sunrise, I don't know that I would have believed it. I'd be like, what? Who? But there definitely is a communion and a community piece. And the way that I've been taught about kirtan and chanting, and even just the word and the vibration of which stays with me is that because these vibrations just continue to expand and keep going, and that when you chant and when you maybe it's Om, maybe it's something else, but when you chant and when you sing these songs that kind of raise your vibration and bring you closer to this oneness. And I even don't know if those words are quite right, because we're one anyway. There's not like a closer to, but maybe brings you closer to this awareness of oneness that you're chanting with all the people within the vibrations of anyone and everyone who have chanted in the past. So you're just tapping into this vibration and this energy that just continues to expand. And all the people who have ever chanted, you're chanting with them in a way.
Yeah.
Or with that energetic resonance.
Yeah. I really liked what you just said there. Like, I am already one.
Yeah, this wholeness that we all are, and this connectedness that oftentimes we're not, with ego and with Western culture and societal conditioning and expectations, we can fall away from the awareness of that oneness. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So whatever brings us back to that, however that pathway looks for you or for anybody. For me, yoga has been a big part of that, to be able to remind myself and help us remember, because we forget that there's a oneness, and that, divinity, however that looks to you is really within all of us.
Yeah. I'd love to explore that more too, like that awareness. It's like, because like you're saying, like in the world we can get so caught up in the hustle, the bustle, the rat race,
Yeah.
the capitalism. It's like we have to work, we have to make money,
Yeah,
we got to put food on the
we do.
table, shelter over our head.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, somewhere along that, maybe I do, maybe I don't, I get disconnected from myself. It's like I'm
Yeah.
on my phone, maybe I'm not present with you. It's like,
Yeah.
so it's like, how can yoga maybe be a practice for some people to like come back to like being in their body and being connected back to each other and with like myself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, to me, that's the whole point of yoga. That's the whole opportunity. That's the whole invitation with yoga. Yoga means to yoke, or to make one, to bring into union, and in sort of like a mind, body, spirit way. So how do we slow down? How do we center and become grounded and rooted in, our soul's purpose and in our true being, without all of the layers of, masks that we may wear. Maybe it's the mask of being a mom, or the mask of the work that we wear to work, or, all the different things that we have to show up in as life. And for me in yoga, being able to slow down and really witness and connect back to the heart of my spirit, and just being in a really heart-centered space, and being able to explore with curiosity what that presents, and what am I trying to say? Like the infinite possibility that can come through in that space. But if we're hustling and bustling all the time, and it is, we do have to work, we do have to make our way in this world. But when we can slow down for a minute or an hour or 75 minutes, whatever it is for you, maybe it's 5 minutes walking meditation. But Ram Dass, he says, the quieter we get, the more we can hear. And so many people will show up to yoga, and you can just see how wound they are, right? And that unwinding, that unlearning, and that settling into your body. And then once you can relax or settle in, or maybe deactivate your nervous system wherever you are on that particular day, and connect it to the heart, and then to your spirit, your higher calling, your purpose, a lot can become clear in those places.
Yeah, thank you. That was a lot, and that was beautiful.
Thank you.
And what I really enjoyed hearing, I heard you well too, is I really appreciate how yoga means to yoke, and to bring in a union, and how you mentioned like to slow down to my heart's purpose, my heart's intention. And I think in like you said, like when I slow down, I can listen to my spirit, my soul,
Yeah.
whatever is my higher power, or being in union with that sense of self, or that and so I can actually listen to my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. You can really hear it. And intuition too.
Yeah.
It's doesn't speak very loudly. Oftentimes it's just a whisper, but when you can really tap in, it usually will send you the right way.
Yeah. It's interesting how in stillness things come up. And I notice that in my practice, it's that if I had a stressful day, like, and I'm still, then I have an interrupting thought,
Yes.
interrupting my breath, or I'm like, where am I? What pose am I in? What am I doing?
Where does our mind go? Yeah.
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 And so one thing I appreciate about your classes too is helping redirect the mind, and getting the mind back into the body, into the present moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's it like to even be a teacher, I think, because you can like see how people hold their stress, like, where we're tight in our bodies.
Yeah.
And, like, what's that like to be able to see people hold stuff in
It's
their body?
incredible, to be completely honest. It's wild. And it's so interesting because you can see it in individual people, but oftentimes like the room will come in a certain way, and there'll be like a certain energy of the room. And Sometimes you've been in class probably where I've said, all right, everybody just lay down. We're going to start over, or we're going to workshop something, and we're going to really slow this down. And sometimes too, like on the flip side of it, everyone is so in sync and so centered and so, it almost looks divinely led. This flow that's just happening is so beautiful to witness. And you can just, like, the room sounds like an ocean because everybody's breath is in unison and deep, and you can feel the power in that too. It's an amazing thing to witness and to be able to tap into, and it's a gift, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you said, like, hearing people's breath like the ocean. And I really enjoy it when there's the cue for my ujjayi or my breathing. And then I really enjoy the cues for, like, my neighbor should be able to hear my breath as well. Mm-hmm. And that our breath can ground each other. And what's it like the power of the breath? Like,
Well, the breath in many different ancient cultures, Egyptian, as they speak about it in, the oldest scripture in yoga lineage. And those are the first couple I think of. But the breath is translated into either from prana and into the breath of life, the life force, right? It is what fills us up and empties us out and brings that life force energy into our bodies. And there's so much research now being done with different techniques in breath work, or pranayama as it's called in yoga. But it's a way to move energy. It's a way to shift energy. And I don't know if this is all over the world, but here in this Western culture, we hold our breath all the time. We don't have a conscious breath practice throughout our day most of the time, right? We're at our desk and it's these shallow breaths, and sometimes we'll have these tension, moments of tension, and we'll be holding everything. And when there's that awareness and when we can lengthen our breath, not only is our breath in the very present moment, so there's a mindfulness piece of it, but it can completely relieve tension from our bodies if we allow it to. It's powerful.
yeah. And how can someone say, like, cultivate that awareness of their breath, or like, because it's, how do I learn to notice if I'm holding it? Like, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed. It's like on the computer or like trying to send a text on my phone. And it's like, people like finally breathe after they're done. What's it?
Yeah. Well, I think there are lots of ways that it can be approached, and it's about building a habit too. And so there was a leadership training that I did years and years ago, and they said, okay, 3 days or 3 times a day, you need to set an alarm on your phone, and you need to tap into how you're feeling at that moment and ask yourself the question, what can I do for myself right now? And that was a powerful practice because, when you're at work and you're just hustling, there isn't always that time to get quiet and really tap into your senses and ask my body, how does it feel? And how does my heart feel? And, what am I, where am I spiritually at this moment, or energetically? And what can I do for myself? But in that same vein, you could set a timer for yourself. Maybe you have a few moments a day where you sit down and it's for 5 minutes, and whether or not meditation is a piece of that, just breathe mindfully. And by mindfully, pay attention to your inhale and your exhale. Because we can start thinking of, it's a beautiful view out here, right? We can start thinking about, oh, there's a dolphin. Oh, look at that. This is beautiful. And you can be breathing. Of course you're breathing. Your body's going to do it for you. But to have that awareness and then to start to use it for good, or use it mindfully for wellness by lengthening deeper inhales and exhale, just that practice. Or maybe it's in traffic. That's very helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Deep breaths. And you see moms and dads, right? Talking to kids who are having like some meltdown somewhere, and deep breaths. And it's the same thing. We've got to follow our own advice, right? It can regulate, bring us back to center, bring us out of the meltdown.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting too, is setting aside time to notice how do I feel in the day, and setting aside the time to just check in.
Yeah.
Like, how often, like, that's not something we learn in school. Hey, you know what, Billy? How do you feel right now?
Right.
I just wanted to check in with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Or-
we don't learn to do that for ourselves.
Right. Or your employer saying, okay, everybody with your lunch break, have a mindful moment.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not part of that ingrained culture yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like you say, taking our own advice too, especially like that analogy of like a parent telling their kid, just take deep breaths.
Yeah.
Well, how often of the day am I breathing shallow?
Yeah.
How often of the day am I like so stressed that I'm sort of depriving myself of being calm and in that moment because I'm holding my breath? Because when I'm holding my breath, I just want to gasp for air.
Right.
So how am I going to make good choices if I'm not
Oxygenated.
right? If I don't have oxygen in my brain.
Fundamentally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, just that awareness that you're speaking of, I'm really stressed or I'm really this or that, whatever you may be, having that awareness just to begin and taking a breath. What are my tools when I'm very stressed, when I feel certain ways that may activate my nervous system or bring me out of a centered, calm space. Breath is a tool for sure.
Yeah. And I agree. And it's interesting. So it's the awareness, noticing it.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's practice. And so I have to practice noticing my breath. I have to practice being aware of how I feel. I have to
Yeah.
practice of showing up for myself. I have to
Yeah.
practice of showing up to the mat.
Yeah.
And I liked how you said one day, only if our mats could talk.
Oh yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears. That's for sure. What would our mats say if they could talk? But you're right. It's a practice, right? We show up and it's not always comfortable. It is not. Many times it's not comfortable, right? We're moving through, whether we know it or not. We're moving through pathways that may be triggered. We're moving through emotions. We're moving through nervous system activations and being able to use our body to sort of heal in a holistic way, not just physical ailments, not just, knees that are rehabbing or something purely physical, but to be able to aid in the bigger picture with movement and with really slowing down. And that doesn't mean it's not a strong practice, right? We work hard, but slowing down and finding these places of strength and also being vulnerable in those places. It's not one or the other. So many things can be true at the same time. And this culture of go, go, go and strong and tough and hard it's really just armor, I think, because where's the real courage? It's going deep into the stuff that we fear or that has hurt us or trauma. And when we can slow it down and create a safe space in our bodies to be able to then go deeper and explore it in maybe a more intellectual way, it can be part of that big picture.
Yeah. Like how you said slowing down, and that requires a willingness to look at the pain.
Yeah.
And how you said to feel safe in the body.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sometimes as humans, we like to stay busy, because if I don't stay busy, then I'll have to look at myself.
I experienced that during COVID, actually, and my inner introvert was thrilled in certain ways with COVID. When everything was slowing down, got to spend tons of time with my guard and all those things. But I came to find out that even the things that, were by all, in all ways almost looked at as like healthy outlets, like going to yoga every day, like racing on my sailing team, like doing these different things that are nourishing and healthy. When I couldn't go do those things, it became very clear to me that there were things that I wasn't looking at because I was filling my time with these other very, in quotes, healthy things. And so it opened up this kind of this opportunity to look at things that I didn't even realize I was avoiding with healthy practice. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And it like there has to be a willingness, right? It's a choice. They call it the work for a reason. It is hard a lot of the times. But that doesn't mean that our bodies can't support it. And that doesn't mean that we can't come through it, even though sometimes it feels like we may never.
Yeah. It was interesting how you noticed I was filling my time with things that are healthy. And then when I even had to slow down, I noticed how even those healthy things were masking maybe other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because I think as humans, we create a lot of maybe unconscious defenses to actually do the work.
Yeah.
Like we create a lot of maybe create defenses to, we think we're slowing down, but are we really slowing down? And so I'm curious, it's like, because you're talking about to yoke, to union, to be with the self, to be with purpose. And like, and in stillness, I can be more in tune with my purpose. And it's like, it's just interesting, I think, the fear of being still.
Well, we're kind of raised that way too,
Yeah.
you know? It's so funny, and Dad, if you listen to this, I love you. But I mean, the man cannot sit down. He'll read, but the man always has to have something to do. And it's kind of the joke. I don't have kids, and my sisters do, so it's hard to be fully still and quiet when you've got kids. But it's kind of the joke in the family. Like Kristen, if we go on a trip or if we do anything as a family, Kristen needs to have some time to be quiet, and that's one of the ways that I am able to center and just come back to myself and therefore show up better for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm similar. I have to recharge my battery, and we all need to recharge our batteries.
Yeah.
Like, can't pour from an empty cup. Like,
That's right.
if our phone's about to die, we gotta plug it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, how do I notice when I need to recharge my battery?
Step one, right?
Right?
How do we notice?
Yeah.
And that's like a know thyself thing, because it's different for everybody. But that awareness is a practice, right? We can try to listen to the cues. And I know for myself, what I've come to learn is that now that I know what certain cues are, if I'm starting to like teeter or, lose myself a little bit or start to kind of go down into the dark side, that I've got to address things right away. I can't wait, or else it just keeps going. And that looks different sometimes, but usually it's getting to yoga, it's moving my body, sometimes it's journaling. Not so much lately, but on that. But there are all kinds of different ways that we can show up for ourselves, and it's not one and the same, I don't think.
Yeah. It's gonna look different for everyone to recharge their battery.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I had to learn for myself, and I'd be curious, is what's it like for you to notice the difference between isolation versus solitude? Like isolation would be I'm avoiding humans versus solitude is I need to recharge my battery.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good, because I do both. Usually the isolation part means that I need to do something to help myself, whether that's yoga or meditation or something else, versus, I'm going to go out and expand and take some time for myself and have it be fulfilling, I guess. So in short, to answer that question, isolation drains me, even though I'm choosing it. It's sort of like this self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other piece fills me up.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Isolation, though I think I want it, it's probably going to drain me. Yeah. Versus solitude is going to fill my cup up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the tough part of developing, I think, that awareness of, am I avoiding going to yoga? Am I making excuses of going to yoga? Like, oh, my knee hurts, so I can't go. But I mean, that's the whole point of going.
Right.
There's a modification for everything.
There is. It's true.
And I can lie on my back the whole time if I feel like it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm afraid to because of what? I'm afraid to not do the same posture as somebody else, or
Yeah.
somebody's looking at me, but really it's me judging myself. It's like
Yeah.
all the excuses I know that I've made for myself over the years.
Yeah.
And
We all have. And
yeah,
I think I do point it back to like the ideals of this broader society, right? Because there's an element of, got to look strong, and there's so much competition. And the first thing people usually say to me when they find out I'm a yoga instructor is that, oh, well, I'm not flexible, or I'm bad at yoga. And my response is, there is no bad at yoga. It's really courageous to show up to anything new, right? Especially in a group environment. If some people know or have been doing it for longer and may have more experience, I understand that. It's a place of being a beginner is not easy in any context, I don't think. But there's a lot of courage there. Just showing up is a practice in and of itself. And being able to shed the expectations and the ego and the need to compete and to just be with yourself on your mat and do whatever you're able to do on any given day is really what it's all about.
yeah,
Maybe you push yourself a little bit, but not too much. That's not the point. Just let it feel good. I say that a lot in class.
Yeah.
Let it feel good.
yeah,
And what if that was like the motto? What if we talked about that like throughout our whole day? Like, what are you going to do tonight? I don't know, but it's going to feel good. What are you going to eat? It's going to feel good. Like, what if we moved through life like that and made all of our decisions based on what feels good, not in necessarily like a way of gluttony or something, but in like a nourishing way.
yeah, yeah. And I liked how you said surrendering the expectation and letting go of the competition.
Yeah.
Because really, who am I competing against? Just my own judgments.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And expecting myself to do I don't know, be something I'm not.
Yeah.
Or if it's not feeling good, well, what am I really competing with? Because the posture should feel good.
And that backing off so that you can find a space that is more nourishing or supportive to your body
Yeah.
is not what we're trained to do in society. It's
Yeah.
to go harder and harder, deeper, longer, stronger.
Yeah. And so I think it's interesting too. What's the difference then between like pain and discomfort?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I think it can be looked at from different angles. In your body, you never want pain in your body in yoga. If you are coming to a place that is painful, please don't hurt yourself. It's really that simple. Please don't hurt yourself. One of the 8 limbs of yoga is ahimsa. Do no harm. Do no harm to yourself too. Back off. Do something that you can do. And sometimes it can look like the simplest shape, right? Child's pose does not work for everyone. It really doesn't. And so making modifications that serve you and having the humility to be able to do that, right? And then discomfort in the physical plane, I think that's a judgment, right? A healthy judgment. Being able to say, okay, I'm coming up. You hear yoga instructors talk about coming up to your edge and exploring that with curiosity. You can breathe into it a lot to help soften what may be uncomfortable at first, but stopping before it hits that place of physical pain is really important. And then when it comes into more like an emotional place, because the way we move our bodies in yoga, it can bring up all kinds. I've seen tears, I've seen laughing, I've seen all kinds of things in classes, in my own body too. And I mean, I think first and foremost, it's really important to feel safe in your body and in your heart. And if something doesn't, then assessing what can make it safe for you. And if you have the capacity to maybe sit with it, and if you don't, maybe it's not today. That was some of the best advice a meditation teacher gave to me once. Can I do this right now? Maybe I can. Maybe I can give it a little bit more time. Maybe I can sit with it a little longer, and maybe not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because the push isn't necessarily what's going to get us there. It's the stillness and the softness and the humility and just like in yoga we call it rasa, like the honey, the nectar, then the grace that it's not going to be, maybe it's not today.
Yeah. I like how you said being curious. And so if I'm curious, I can explore my edge. And that can be the uncomfortable part, is exploring where is my edge. And at any time I can back off.
Yeah.
And so I can be uncomfortable in exploring my edge. And then I might come up to pain. But once I come up to pain, I can back off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you peek over the side over there and
Yeah.
back to a safer place.
Yeah.
So you don't end up in the canyon, you know?
Yeah. And I like how you said, I want to feel safe in my body. I want to feel safe in my heart.
Yeah.
And what does that safety even look like? I have to explore it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes, you know, for years, I didn't even realize I was kind of living in this activated place, and anxiety was strong and like physically in my body. And it looked, safety in my body then looked a lot different than it does now. But being able, just like you're saying, to be able to explore those levels or those different places of what safety can look like and feel like, you know, there's no healing's going to happen if you don't feel safe. It's just like with moms, you're expecting moms who are going to have babies. I've worked as a birth doula for a long time too, and have welcomed a lot of brand new babies into the world. And one of the things that is so fascinating is that even in other mammals like dogs or foxes or something like that, they'll go find a safe, dark space to deliver their pups, right? And part of that is that for the cervix to even open and physically deliver a baby or your litter, the fear activation can't be there. Because the moment that fear is there, you know, if a wolf comes in and the fox is trying to deliver her babies, cervix tightens right back up. It's a survival mechanism. And so we've got to be able to get out of the activated nervous system state, out of the fight, the flight, the freeze, the fawn, and be in our bodies, because we are human. I mean, this is part of the human experience, is this body, these bones, and this skin, and then in that safety to be able to explore how to heal what we may need to heal.
I love that. Yeah. In my safety, I can heal, is what I heard.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah. I also heard I have to be willing to do what it takes to be safe. So I have to put myself in the right space, the right environment, just like the fox. I have to put myself in the right spot so I can feel safe.
Yeah. And that, just like everything, looks different for different people, and it's certainly not easy. And there are circumstances with abuse, especially, that, you know, are really difficult. But if we can try to remove ourselves from a situation, if it's abusive, of course, but in other contexts, be able to find what feels safe in our body, and then to be able to kind of go deeper into the work. I feel like we're on the right track. It's a good place to start.
Yeah, agreed. What would you recommend to someone who's never tried yoga before, and maybe they're like, I've heard about it, everybody's talking about it, or, you know, people who do it, I see great change in their life, or maybe some people are afraid of trying it. What would you say to someone who's just thinking about trying yoga? Or...
Come to yoga. I completely acknowledge how much courage it takes to show up to a class of any kind, right? Like I am probably fearful if someone were to say, hey, will you come to a spinning class with me? I'll be like, a spinning? Are you kidding me? Can we be in the back type thing? But I mean, that's the very first step, is have the courage to show up. You will be welcome. Start with a slower class, you know, maybe not diving right into like the 110 degrees hot power sculpt class is a good choice fundamentally. But in kind of a more spiritual way, if you have a willingness just to be and to have a beginner's mind and to explore openly and curiously, there's a lot of opportunity to grow and to expand and to witness in yourself things that you may not even know were possible. And I think that people who are curious about yoga, there's a reason deeper than, I just gotta loosen up my shoulders so I'm a better surfer. Though that's great too. I think it can, just on a purely physical level, I want to be walking like the 80-year-olds who go to yoga when I'm that age, upright and not so stiff. But there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for it to infiltrate into other places too. And when people are curious about it, I think there's a lot of magic that can come through.
Yeah, right. So being curious and willing, and
Yeah.
go to the beginner's class.
Go to the beginner's class. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that too, I think, is where ego can come in. And it's even like the best athlete. Okay, well, I'm so successful here, and I don't need a level 1 or a yin or a, restorative or something like that. But it goes well beyond just what your physical capabilities, right? And first and foremost, you may not have done these things in your body before, so just kind of learning the mechanics is important and safe. But yoga is so much more than just the shapes you put your body in, that starting slow can be good. And I think too, which kind of cracks me up a little bit, is so many of and this is not a judgment at all, but a lot of times when you see in like the super hot power sculpt classes, I call myself a recovering type A. Sometimes maybe the folks who are go, 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 hustle, hustle as fast as possible all the time, crushing it in their hot power sculpt class, what they might need the most is the slow. And that in and of itself may be the biggest challenge for them.
Very good point.
Because it's hard to slow down.
It is.
Especially slow our thoughts, and we can lay down.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I resonate with that. I definitely, I like to work hard.
Yeah, we all do. Well, many of us do.
Yeah. I think the slower classes are the hardest for me.
Yeah. It's when, toward the end of my class, and like we flow and we work hard, and there's elements of strength. And then toward the end, when we start to slow down, that's when you kind of see people's eyes wandering over there. And in my head, I'm like, stop thinking about what you're going to have for breakfast. Bring it back over here. Everything that's out there is going to be waiting for you for this hour, because we're human. Our minds wander. We are thoughtful beings. And that's the practice, right? The moment we notice our mind wandering, our thoughts off our mat at all, the bringing it back. And not being hard on ourselves when we do it. I used to notice, I'd be like, damn, Kristen, like, get your head in the game. In the yoga game? What game are we talking about here, right? And the shift, that softness, right, of inviting it back. Who wants to come back in if someone's, like, giving you a hard time? But if you invite someone back in, or invite your mind back in, there's a, I don't know what that is, but there's more willingness to come back.
Yeah. And it made me think of not giving someone a hard time. I was thinking, yeah, Gabe, I don't need to give myself such a hard time.
Yeah, right? We do it. We're so hard on ourselves. Yeah. What do you do when you're hard on yourself?
These days, I just acknowledge that no matter how hard I work or how much work I put into myself, I will never be perfect.
Yes.
So it's a
thank God for that
impossibility to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I've had injuries that have had to slow me down, and then I'm just like, okay, Great Spirit, Lord, with my higher power, and I'm like, I think my career could be over, and then I'm like, all right, I get the message, I gotta slow down. All right, back to basics. Okay.
Yeah.
And that happened to me last year, and that was really hard on me, but it required me to be still. And I didn't train for over a month because of my knee. And I couldn't go hard.
Yeah. And then gratitude looks different, right? When you're not in full health.
Yeah. And now that I'm strong again, I'm just so grateful that I'm like, okay. But I don't want to go as hard because I feel it. And then, to be kind to myself, and I
Yeah.
don't have to go to my threshold.
Yeah. Not
Right.
every day. Maybe
Not
some
every
days.
day. That's right.
Maybe some days.
Yeah, on Saturdays.
Yeah, there you go. Saturday morning.
Yeah. And what about somebody who's been doing their practice for a minute and they're like, maybe they feel like they hit a plateau and they're like, well, you know what? Like maybe they did a teacher training or two
Yeah.
and now they're like, doing their best to manage their, like I know this or that, or maybe they don't feel as connected to their practice as they once were, or
Yeah.
what about that?
Well, I guess I can speak from personal experience that what has helped me more than anything is just to be a student first and to keep, they've been practicing yoga for 5,000+ years. There's lots of things to read and study and explore and learn. So the pool is not empty. And maybe it's switching it up a little bit. If you're feeling rusty or I feel stale every once in a while maybe it's my own practice, maybe as a teacher, and I'll explore something different. Maybe I try out a different studio. Maybe I learn from a different teacher. Maybe I go on retreat. And I think that kind of resonates with many parts of my life in particular. If things feel stagnant or stale, what can I do to kind of re-energize those places? And with yoga in particular, just like anything, and in a place like Southern California where there are lots of yoga teachers and lots of studios, the opportunity to start comparing yourself to other people you can go down that rabbit hole if you want to, but to really connect back to your heart and ask, what is it that I need right now to be able to show up and serve the best that I can, and be, from a heart-centered space, from a heart-forward place. And usually when I'm feeling stale or in a rut or, just trudging through, grinding through sometimes, it's because I'm just disconnected. And so spending time in nature, spending time really filling up is what comes through for me in that. And I think too, what's important is that, and I think in general, when we all think about what yoga is, the first thing that comes to mind is like these shapes we're making with our bodies, right? The asana piece of it. But there's so much more to yoga. We were talking about chanting, meditation, breath work, service. If you've fallen off asana, and if I've known so many practitioners older than I am, mentors who still have a beautiful physical practice, but they said, you know what, there's a lot more to it that I've needed to put my time and energy. And they still have a physical practice, an asana practice, but there's a lot to explore beyond just that one piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked how you've shared today, what do I need right now? And I think that's such a healthy, important question to ask. Because, when I hit that plateau or I think I'm stuck or I'm stagnant and the energy isn't flowing, what is it that I need right now?
Yeah. What can help shift this energy?
Yeah.
And that's a question that you can only answer for yourself most of the time. And luckily, hopefully, you've got, people who love you around you saying, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, shove, shove. Let's go to yoga together, or let's go do this. And you can lean on each other, but that's accountability in yourself too.
Yeah. Well, right on, Kristen. I think it's been a wonderful, wonderful talk, and we can definitely do this again.
Yeah, let's.
Oh, yes.
I love talking about yoga.
Me too.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And yeah, I really thank you for your service. Thank you for being a teacher, and thank you for sharing, and you're a bunch of gems today. And especially with checking in with the self and being willing, being curious, feeling safe. What does safety look like? And it takes courage to be willing to slow down and listen to the heart and spirit and that soul's intention. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this so much.
Likewise.
See you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
8:30.
Yeah, not surfing with the guys tomorrow, so I'll be there.
Surf after.
Yeah,
You'll be all limber, stretched out.
It's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you so much, Gabe.
My pleasure.